Page 15. Friends continued. When we went for tuition or extra activities, our parents waited patiently for the activities to get over so that they could bring us back home safely and comfortably. Do we help our parents by driving them or accompanying them to the store or patiently helping them when they need us? They played with us whatever we liked and they enjoyed with us. Have we ever played what they liked and still enjoyed with them? Let us check ourselves. Are we making an error? If so, please let us correct ourselves now only. It is never too late. Let us treat parents as our good friends and our life will change for the best. Let us spend time to talk with our parents, give them love, hold their hands, appreciate what they've done for us. Once in a while, accompany them for a nice dinner or for a holiday or a family outing. If we love them, let us tell them now, show them in our small gestures, because they are not going to be around forever. Life is a game of boomerang. Whatever we do will precisely come back to us. Page 16. The Importance of Life. A professor stood before his philosophy class and had some items in front of him. When the class began, he picked up a large empty glass jar and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and dropped them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. He then asked the students again if the jar was full. They agreed it was. The professor next picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course the sand filled up everything else. He asked once more if the jar was full. The students responded with a unanimous yes. The professor then produced 2 cups of coffee from under the table and poured the entire contents into the jar, effectively filling the empty space between the sand. The students laughed. Now, said the professor, as the laughter subsided, I want you to recognize that this jar represents our life. The golf balls are the important things. Our family, our children, our health, and our favorite passions. And if everything else was lost and only they remained, our life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like our job, our house, and our car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If we put the sand into the jar first, there will be no room for the pebbles or the golf balls, he continued. The same goes for life. If we spend all our time and energy on the small stuff, we will never have room for the things that are important to us. Let us pay attention to the things that are critical to our happiness. Play with children, give time for health, give time to our spouse. There will always be time to clean the house and fix the disposal. Let us take care of the golf balls first. The things that really matter. Let us set our priorities right. The rest is just sand. One of the students raised her hand and inquired what the coffee represented. The professor smiled. I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show that no matter how full our life may seem, there's always room for a couple of cups of coffee with a friend. Page 17. Most of us miss out on life's big prizes. The Nobel Prize, the Oscars, the Grammys, but we are all eligible for life's small pleasures. A pat on the back, a kiss on the cheek, a full moon, a great meal, a glorious sunset, a word of appreciation, a surprise gift. Let us not complain about not getting life's grand awards. Instead, enjoy its tiny delight. There is plenty for all of us. Let us give genuine love and care to all, even maybe for a second. Most of the people will make that second last a lifetime. Page 18. Prayer. On the banks of the river Ganga, a sage was engrossed in a prayer. When he opened his eyes, he saw a small boy sitting next to him with folded hands. The sage asked the boy, "What are you doing?" The boy replied, "I am praying." The sage inquired, "Do you know the prayer?" The boy curiously inquired, "What do you pray?" The sage replied, "I chant shlokas and mantras of the scriptures." The child innocently replied, "Your prayer does not have more than 26 letters of the alphabet. You say arranged words, whereas I chant alphabets and tell God to arrange them." The sage was touched by the child's divinity and innocence, for he genuinely prayed from his heart. Verbal repetition may be a part of prayer, but pouring our heart out is the divine prayer. Asking worldly pleasures may be a part of prayer, but seeking divinity is prayer. Having trust in God will not make the mountain small, but it will make climbing it easier. Page 19. Disciple. When the great Sufi saint Hassan was dying, somebody asked, "Hassan, who was your master?" He said, "I had thousands of masters. If I just relate their names, it will take months, years, and it is too late. But I will certainly tell you about two masters. One was a thief. Once I got lost in the desert, and when I reached a village, it was very late. Everything was closed. But at last I found one man who was trying to make a hole in the wall of a house. I asked him where I could find an accommodation, and he said, 'At this time of night it will be difficult, but you can stay with me if you can stay with a thief.' He was telling me the truth. I stayed for 1 month, and each night he would tell me, 'Now I am going to my work, you rest and pray.' Upon his return I would inquire, 'Could you get anything?' He would say, 'Not tonight, but tomorrow I will try again. God willing, tomorrow it is going to happen.' He was never in a state of hopelessness, he was always happy. When I was meditating for years, and when nothing was happening, many times a moment came. I was so desperate, so hopeless, that I thought to stop all this, and I would recall the words of the thief who would say every night, 'God willing, tomorrow it is going to happen.' These words gave me hope and encouraged me. And the second master was a small child. I entered a town, and a child was carrying a lit candle. He was going to the mosque to put it there. Jokingly, I asked the boy, 'Have you lit the candle yourself?' He said, 'Yes, sir.' And then I asked, 'There was a moment when the candle was unlit, and there was a moment when the candle was lit. Can you show me the source from which the light came?' And the boy laughed, blew out the candle, and said, 'Now you have seen the light going. Where has it gone? Can you tell me?' My ego was punctured, my whole knowledge was shattered, and that moment I felt my own stupidity. I accepted the whole existence as my master. My disciplehood was an involvement with whole existence. I trusted the clouds and the trees. I had millions of masters, and I learned from every possible source. To be a disciple is a master on the path. What does it mean to be a disciple? It means to be able to learn and to be willing to learn from all. Let noble thoughts come to us from all directions. Page 20. Learning is like eating food. It is not how much we eat that matters. What counts is how much we digest. Life is a continuous learning process. 3 lessons to learn from a pencil. Everything we do leaves a mark. Pain always sharpens our strength. Important is what is inside us, not outside. Let us not go on searching for the path all our life. Let us take our first step, and then we will see the path lying just in front of us. Page 21. Focus. One of the most memorable case studies on international management was the case of the empty soap box in one of the biggest cosmetic companies. The company received a complaint that a consumer had bought a soap box which was found empty. Immediately the authorities isolated the problem to the assembly line. For some reason, one soap box went through the assembly line empty. Management asked its engineers to solve the problem. The complaint should not come again. Post-haste, the engineers worked hard to devise an X-ray machine with high-resolution monitors, supervised by 2 people to watch all the soap boxes that passed through the line and make sure they were not empty. No doubt they worked hard and they worked fast, but they spent a very huge amount to do so. But when a company in a developing country was posed with the same problem, they did not get into complications of X-rays, etc., but instead came out with a simple solution. They bought a strong industrial electric fan and pointed it at the assembly line. When the soap box passes the fan, it was blown out of the line. Don't find faults, find a remedy. Let us focus on solutions, not on problems. Page 22, Love. The Solomon Islands are the 3rd largest group of islands in the Pacific Ocean. They have a rich culture which observes many traditions and ancient customs. The villagers in the tribal area employ a unique technique to remove weeds that are in their way when they want to remove useless weeds. Rather than using an axe or burning them, they resort to a seemingly strange technique. All the villagers will gather round the weeds and start abusing it verbally. Amazingly, in a short spell of time, the weeds wither away on their own. The film Tare Zameen Par illustrates this concept as well. The filmmaker has made an extraordinary attempt to show that when we keep on mistreating or abusing any living being, it can cause a highly detrimental influence. Words have the power to inspire and stimulate, or destroy and demoralize an individual. Tare Zameen Par tells the story of a child suffering from dyslexia. In medical terms, dyslexia is not a disease, rather a disorder. The child does not understand certain words and he finds difficulty whilst writing and calculating. This problem is commonly seen not as a learning disability, but rather laziness or stupidity. However, individuals with dyslexia are neither retarded nor mentally challenged, but there is a lot of difference between their intellect and typical academic performance, and therefore people do not understand them.